Hi, I'm Dana Beardshear. Welcome back to YaYa's Kitchen. If you've never been in my kitchen before, then welcome to you also. Today's recipe I call golden cheesy rice cakes. Let's go ahead and get started. We have the following ingredients. We have salt and pepper to taste. We have long grain brown rice. Long grain brown rice has been pre-cooked. I used a rice cooker, but you can use an oven method or a stovetop method, whatever works best for you at your house. After that, we have olive oil. We have skillet to brown our rice cakes. And we have some toasted sesame seeds. We have some freeze-dried chives and some fresh dill. We have some regular white flour, and last but certainly not least, we have Philadelphia brand cream cheese. For today's recipe, we are going to use chives and onion flavor, and we will also be using salmon flavor. We're going to start by taking our chives and cream cheese mixture and mixing it into the rice. It's all going to be a little bit on the messy, sticky side when you begin, but if you just work it gently and slowly, it'll all come together really nicely for you. I find that the amount of salt that's already been included in the chives with cream cheese mixture is perfect for this particular dish. You know, one of my favorite things about being in my kitchen is the fact that I have over the years collected kitchen tools and objects from mostly women that I love in my family who are no longer here, who have passed on. I have rolling pins and cake pans from my great-grandmother. I have aprons and cookbooks and recipe boxes from my grandmother. I have things from one of my favorite aunts. I have some things that my mother, who is still here, is no longer using that she has been generous enough to give me. And I also have things from my mother-in-law that I use from her kitchen as well. So I feel like I have lots of company and lots of wisdom and guidance giving me direction and help as I cook all of the time. And I just think that's a fabulous way of keeping their memories alive and enjoying their company in my kitchen. So now that we have our cream cheese and rice mixed together, we're going to sprinkle in our sesame seeds. The sesame seeds, they're already toasted, which is great because then you don't have to do that step either. This recipe is all about those products that have already done most of the work for you. We're going to pick up some of this, just pick it up with your fingers and start forming it into patties. You know, I've made other recipes for rice cakes, and they require you to have the rice pretty cold for a while before you put it together. This recipe, the cream cheese is so creamy and the rice adheres so well to it that it's not as necessary for it to be quite as cold as it is with other recipes. You're going to want to make your patties about 1/2 inch thick and about 1.5 inches big. They should look something like that. Because we're making this for an appetizer, and often appetizers are something that you serve at a pretty social function, you want to try to keep your patties uniform in size so that they will all look really pretty together. Your hands get a little bit sticky, but don't worry. If you've been in the kitchen like I have a lot, you know that your hands can always be washed and the mess gets cleaned up. You do want to make sure that you have nice clean hands before you begin a process like that. So I'm just going to finish up with these little patties after you get them all patted out. I'm just going to go ahead and pat out the rest of those. We're just going to coat the rice cakes now that we have them all formed into nice little patties. Take a sifter and stick them in there to lightly remove the excess flour, because we're not trying to create a batter, we're just trying to lightly coat them, and that's what creates the golden in golden cheesy rice cakes. So I'm just going to finish this up and then I'll show you how to cook them. I'm going to put a couple tablespoons of olive oil into a small skillet, and I'm going to put that not high but
just a little under high. We want that oil pretty hot. Now we're ready to put our rice cakes into the skillet. And I think that we're going to put 6 is plenty in here. This recipe makes somewhere in between 15 to 20 little rice cakes, depending on how big you make them. And it's only going to be about a minute on each side, minute and a half. So don't leave the stove, keep your eye on them. They cook quick. Look how nice and golden. I've turned them over and they're nice and golden on each side. Resist the urge to push down on them because they are delicate and you don't want to crack them open. Add a little more oil each time you get ready to do a new batch.
We have our rice cakes that are nice and warm and golden and cheesy, and now we're going to top them with 4 ounces of salmon cream cheese. And I am using a pastry bag. If you don't have a pastry bag, then you can go ahead and put the salmon in a baggie and cut the tip off of it and pipe this onto that. I like using this because it has a pretty decorative tip, but it can look just as nice if you use a baggie. You can also spread it. If you don't have a baggie, you can just spread it on, but it will look pretty if we use the tip. I just like to put the tip right on the rice cake and squeeze the bag, and then it just pipes right onto there. Makes sort of a little flower. Now that we have the salmon on all of them, they're really pretty, you can take the garnish. And I have chives, so I'm going to just sprinkle a few of those on about half of them. Some people like chives. And some people like dill. So I'm going to put just little tiny bits of fresh dill on a few of them. It'll be so pretty. It's such a great, easy appetizer and really different too. I think that your guests will appreciate something that they have never had before. And I promise you they haven't because I just made the recipe up. It's always fun to surprise guests with new and interesting things, especially when they're really yummy like this one's going to be. There you have it, golden cheesy rice cakes. Don't they look pretty? Okay, are you ready to try this one? I sure am. Cheesy, golden deliciousness, just like the recipe says. Thank you so much for stopping by my kitchen again today. I hope you enjoyed your time. I did, as usual. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Bye-bye.